Now, I don't want to get anybody confused with the idea of gaining weight or losing weight. There's two different issues. We're talking about hydration for performance. You should be gaining weight, especially during the day. When we look at your body fat composition as it relates to lean muscle and body fat, that's where we look at your body measurements. Okay? Hopefully everybody has taken their body measurements during their rest and recovery week. Hopefully you followed the notes and you took them early on in the week. Okay? Hopefully you're starting to see your body composition change. Don't be alarmed if certain muscle groups or certain measurement areas get a little bit bigger. Because remember, if you're running in a motive deficiency before you even begin, if you start to saturate, some of the body measurements may change a little bit. And we have people that get a little bit concerned. They're like, well, I'm getting bloated. You're not getting bloated, you're getting hydrated. Oh, my legs are loading up in fat. You're not going to gain fat in 3 days. Not in regards to inches, not in regards to pounds. Okay? Just to give you a school of thought, it takes 3,500 calories to create a pound of fat. So even if you overate by 500 calories, and what I mean by overeating means you ate more than you took in and you didn't burn, it would take a week for you to be able to gain a pound. How? Because 500 calories times 7 is 3,500 calories. So I want you guys to please trust the fact that if you feel like you're overeating, you're eating too often, you're simply not. What you're doing is you're trying to find what we call homeostasis. You're trying to find where a baseline exists for you as an athlete. Okay? Is there any questions about the difference between gaining water weight and what your body composition and measurements are telling you? All right. So let's talk a little bit about the eating habits. I'm asking you to eat every 2 hours from the minute you wake up. Okay? I received on my Twitter account, I received a comment from somebody who said, I heard you on the radio. You mentioned that if you eat 3 to 4 eggs and you have a couple pieces of fruit, that you're not going to be hungry until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Is that what you're recommending? And it was a great question, and I apologize if there was any confusion. I'm not advocating that you do that. What I was saying in the radio show was a lot of people don't understand that appetite is suppressed. Let me rephrase that. Appetite is satisfied when you eat fat and protein. Those are the only two variables that satisfy appetite. What I was trying to get across on the radio is if you eat that, you're going to notice, eat that being the eggs and the fruit for breakfast, you're going to notice it takes a long time before your body signals your brain that you're hungry again. That's one of the powerful benefits to eating lean protein, carbs, and fats on a regular basis. To not misunderstand, I want you to eat every 2 hours, and that's to keep you from eating in a binge format, but rather eating just before your body starts to send a trigger to your head that it's time to eat. Okay? If you're eating right before you're getting hungry, that tells me that your blood sugar levels are staying stabilized. Now, how do we know if that's happening or not? Okay? If you notice on the food log, I've asked you to document what you ate, what time you ate it, approximately how much you ate, and then 30 minutes later I asked you to please give me an assessment of your mental clarity, your energy levels, and if you were going to be working out, the results of your performance. Now, this is where I don't mean to be insulting. It's so straightforward, people step right over it. If you ate something at 7 o'clock in the morning and at 7:30 your mental clarity was crystal clear and your energy levels were very solid, then what you ate for breakfast worked. Now let's look at the opposite of that. Let's say your snack at 9 o'clock, because you're eating every 2 hours, let's say your snack at 9 o'clock leaves you feeling lethargic. You kind of have that froggy, groggy brain going on. You can't mentally focus. Okay? Maybe you ate that and then tried to go work out. Maybe performance was less than optimal. Your body had a reaction to whatever you ate for your snack. Now, I've had some of you that have contacted me and said, Rob, I'm eating all these good things for my snack, but I'm still feeling tired. Okay. The problem is it's not that the food isn't good. It just isn't interacting with your body very well. Okay, don't be personally offended by that. Remember what we're trying to do is we're trying to create your individualized nutrition program as it relates to how your body responds to food. Many of you are gluten intolerant. For some people, gluten doesn't bother them. For some people, it just totally wipes them off their feet. Some people are lactose intolerant. Some can handle milk with no problem. Some people are carbohydrate intolerant. Some have no problem with it. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. What we're trying to figure out, remember what this program is called? It's called the Blueprint of Success. We have to create what elements yield the most productive results out of you, the racer, you, the athlete, not the other way around. A lot of people want to try to read something out of a book or take something off the internet and then try to cram themselves into that hole. It's the old adage of trying to pound a square peg into a round hole and making it fit. Quit trying to put yourself into a situation that may not be conducive for who you are and how your body responds to food. Eat, evaluate. Eat, evaluate. Eat, evaluate. Think about it. We're asking you to eat breakfast, snack number 1, lunch, snack number 2, dinner, snack number 3, and then another snack before you go to bed if you're getting to bed a little bit later. Remember what we spoke about last week. When you go to sleep at night, your brain gets its necessary sugar from your liver. So by getting you to take a snack before you go to bed, I'm able to get you to feed your brain for those 8 to 9 hours that you're asleep. As we mentioned before, I don't want you thinking that your body could go from noon until 9 p.m. and not be hungry. That's 9 hours. Well, then you can't go to bed at 10 o'clock and sleep until 6 o'clock in the morning, which is 8 hours, and not expect to either run out of sugar at night and wake up, have interrupted sleep patterns, or wake up and still be exhausted because you didn't get into that deep level of sleep that we spoke about. On the subject of sleep, I've received a lot of emails this week about what I spoke about regarding the depth of sleep, and I want to briefly revisit that as it relates to your food logs. If you're eating and not sleeping well, what you're eating is not working. And let me clarify that. Remember, there's a couple things that we want when it comes to sleep. I want you to fall asleep as quickly as possible. I want you to stay asleep as long as possible. And I want it to be in the deepest level of sleep, which we refer to as REM pattern 3. REM pattern 3 is an acronym for rapid eye movement. That's that level of sleep where your brain goes into goes into dream mode. That's where your body releases a hormone called human growth hormone. Human growth hormone, when it's released in adequate amounts, is what makes you lean, and it's also what helps rebuild muscle tissue. So for those of you that are taking whey protein, like our Nutritionally Green, our partnership with Nutritionally Green is based around one of the highest quality whey proteins that we can find. There's 27 whopping grams of whey protein. Okay? When you take whey protein, it's been clinically proven that the body will release an extra 200 to 300% more HGH naturally with the presence of whey protein as a pre-bed snack. So I want you to understand these suggestions that we're giving you is based on medical evidence. It's based on clinical research that comes from the Olympic Training Center. We're not trying to give you things that is just kind of on a whim or we have some kind of agenda to try to move supplements. We're trying to find ways for you guys to get the most out of your efforts in training that relates to speed and endurance. Remember what we said. Your nutrition is simply the foundation to all speed and endurance. There's no other way to look at it. There's no other way to think about it. The way to improve your speed and endurance is through nutrition and hydration. So that's why we're spending these 2 weeks talking so much about your eating habits as it relates to performance, as the way that you eat, as it translates to your sleeping patterns, because go all the way back to the first conversation that we had. The only way that you get stronger and the only way that you get faster is by sleeping and eating, because of what we just talked about. The better the quality of sleep, the more HGH you release. The more HGH you release, the leaner you're going to be, naturally. When you sleep, it gives your body a chance to take the amino acids from your lean protein sources and rebuild the muscle tissue that you've torn down during the day. That's why we always say you only get strong at night when you sleep, and your sleep is going to be dictated by the quality of your food. Now, like I said, a lot of you are doing a great job on the quality of your food. I want to challenge you on the quantity. Look at your food logs. I want you to glance down at your food logs. If across all of your food logs, 3, 5, 7 days, if you're seeing predominantly fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and lean protein, and you're still not sleeping well, you simply need to bump up the volume. All right? Is there anybody who took their body measurements this week and found that they actually got bigger and not smaller? And I don't care what the muscle group is. I don't care if it's a calf or an abdominal. Did anybody's body measurements increase in size?
I did, Rob.
Okay, what body part increased in size? Thank you for speaking up.
Chest, abdominal area more.
Okay, you said chest and thighs?
Yeah.
Okay, and I think I heard abs as well. Those first two, with your thighs and your chest, when you look at how much work we're having you do with the strength training, where we're doing the functional integration, those are muscle group areas, particularly around the chest, around the legs, because you're doing stars, you're doing box hops, you're doing a lot more loading up of your legs. The muscles are starting to sprout, they're starting to grow. The one thing that and please understand that I didn't stage that question, because what I was wondering is if anybody's abdominal number went up and they start to freak out. They're like, oh my goodness, see Rob, I told you I'm getting fat. You didn't get fat. And here's what I want you to realize. If I put dumbbells in your hands and I have you complete bicep curls, you expect your biceps to get bigger. All right? What you don't realize is when you're sitting there and I have you doing maybe some abdominal crunches at 90 degrees, maybe on the fit ball, okay? Maybe doing the pike position, you're going to feel your abdominals working extremely hard, okay? What you have to recognize is your abdominals are no different than your biceps. They're muscles. And the only way that a muscle gets bigger is if it's subjected to load. It's just that simple. For the women that are on the program that you emailed me separately and said, I'm afraid I'm going to start to get real big and bulky. The only way that a muscle gets big and bulky is if you put it under a lot of stress, i.e. strength training, and you feed it a lot of protein, which is coming from amino acids. Those two together are what build new muscles. So look at your abdominals. Of all the work that we're doing on your stomach, we're loading the tissue, the muscle's going to grow. When you get deeper into our performance program, I'm going to start having you use medicine balls and things that are heavier. You can maybe hold a dumbbell, and you can do a sit-up holding the dumbbell against your chest. A lot of people freak out because they're like, I don't want to have a bigger stomach.